Fatal fantasy.
Welcome back to the Back of the Bullpen. Alongside Corey Citino and Sam Garcia, I'm Matt Rumack. We'll be talking about the hometown New York Yankees today, who after a slow first week being 1-4, reeled off 8 in a row and 9 out of 10. The big surprise being the starting pitching getting us through that 8-game winning streak. What do you guys think? Is that sustainable?
I think so, and I hope so. I mean, going to the season, the Yankees' biggest weakness looked to be the starting pitching. And to this point, as you said, they've been fantastic. Severino the other night, 8 innings, 10 strikeouts. Before that, he had another stellar outing. You look at Tanaka, he's 2-1 with a 6 ERA so far, but he was very good last night. Pineda, contract year for him, same with Sabathia, and so far they've both been fantastic for the Yankees. So we'll see if it continues, but these are guys with proven injury history and not an entirely great track record, so we'll just have to wait and see.
It's actually quite interesting because the worst start has been Tanaka, which is the one we thought was going to be a short thing, you know? And Pineda and Severino have the same problem where they have electric stuff, but they're not always accurate with it, you know? So because of that, they've been very accurate, they've been pinpointing their spots, and they've been unhittable. So if they can keep that up, absolutely, this can continue.
Yeah, I actually liked Tanaka's start last night. It was one of those starts where he didn't have his best stuff, but he just kind of grinded it out and got through it. We're going to do a segment now called All Hype or All Right. I'm going to ask you about a player or a situation, and you tell me if it's all hype or all right. Jordan Montgomery, do we have our fifth starter? Has he shut the door? Is he all hype or is he all right?
I think we have our fifth starter. I really do. I mean, he's still young, so he's going to make mistakes, you know? So you can't expect him to be a stud this first year. But he has good stuff. He has 3 pitches that he can use all the time. And for a fifth starter, you only expect so much anyway. So if he can give us a sub-4 ERA, then I'm okay with that.
I'm going to agree with Sam on this one. And one thing I do really like about Jordan Montgomery, and that's an underrated aspect of pitching, is that his delivery, in my opinion, is fantastic. And like when he delivers pitches, he doesn't really tip anything off. Like you can't tell if it's a fastball or a changeup. And I think that creates some sort of deception. You know, your left-handed pitchers, you always want them to be a little bit crafty. And I think that's something that he can work with. It's something that most young pitchers don't always have either. And he does have great stuff too, his breaking ball, and he's got pretty good location with his fastball, so I do think we also have the fifth starter. Yep.
All right, now, Aaron Judge, 5 home runs already, although he had 6. I don't know if you guys saw that one that was robbed from him. All hype or all right?
Let's start this one.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to say all hype, definitely. I think Aaron Judge is somebody who, coming into this year, he had a lot of holes in his swing. You weren't really too sure about him, but he was also somebody where you could see the talent. And I think now that he's finally starting to put it together, you can see he's a potential 30, 40 home run guy a year. And I'm going to say, yeah, all hype. I think Aaron Judge is the real deal.
Matt, I'm going to say he's all right. I think he's going to be fine. He's hitting curveballs for home runs. That's the biggest thing. Last year, he could not hit a curveball for his life. He swung and missed every time. He's cut his basically strikeout percentage down in half. Now, he's 6'7", 280, so he's always going to strike out. But because of that, I think he's hitting 277 right now, 5 home runs. All he needs to hit is 250. And if he's knocking 35 home runs and 100 RBIs, that's quite all right for me.
An impressive stat of his is he has 5 of the 12 hardest hit balls off the bat this year, which is he's a big man. Chase Headley having exactly the opposite kind of start that he had last year, batting nearly 400. All hype or all right?
I'm a little skeptical. I mean, before this year, I didn't like Chase Headley. He's changed my opinion a little bit. He started going the opposite way a little bit more, but I do think he's going to come back down to earth. I do think he's an overrated defensive third baseman as well. But I think he'll be fine. But eventually, I think they got to look to replace him next year regardless. So I do think he's just a stopgap, and eventually he'll be replaced.
Yeah, I also wasn't very big on Chase Headley. I mean, he's obviously not going to bat 400 for the entire year. He's off to such a great start, which is such a difference from what he did last year when he got just a dreadful start. He didn't have his first extra base hit until like mid-May. I do like what they're doing with him. I like him batting second in the order. I think that's a good spot for him, right in between Holiday and Gardner. I do think he'll keep it going, but I think he will level it down a little bit. He obviously won't hit like 300 this year.
All right. Michael Pineda had a great start on opening day, and another followed it up, which was impressive. All hype or all right?
I'm going to say, for this year at least, all hype. I mean, all right. I think Pineda, he's in a contract year, and he is somebody who, he has fantastic stuff. It really is one of like the biggest mysteries in baseball, how he has struggled throughout his career. But I do think with it being a contract year, he's going to pull off a big season. And yeah, I think he's really going to help carry the Yankees rotation.
I think this is where our first difference comes in, where I think he's going to be all hype. I think he's off to a great start, but he's always been inconsistent. And I don't think anything's going to change now. Yes, granted, he's still kind of young. He's about 27, 28 years old. But I think he's still going to stay the same inconsistent pitcher. And in Yankee Stadium, you can't be inconsistent because you leave the ball high a little bit, and that's over the right field bleachers. So at the end of the day, I do think he'll have an ERA somewhere around between 4 or 5, like he did last year. And yeah, I think he's all hype. I think we're gonna see the Pineda we saw last year, to be honest.
Moving over to the other surprise in the starting rotation, Luis Severino. All hype or all right?
I think he's all right. I think last year, I guess in a weird way, putting him in the bullpen last year was good for him because it let him calm down. Let him get used to the Major League Baseball hitters again after getting up to a rocky start. And, his stuff is too good for him to be a relief pitcher. That he has that sharp slider. When it's working, it's unhittable. So if he can continue to pinpoint that fastball, because granted he could throw 98, but this Major League Baseball these days, everyone's throwing 98. So hitters are like picking up on the fact that you can hit a fastball, So it's all about having that second and that third pitch, and he's starting to work in that changeup. Granted, he only threw it 12 times in his last outing. But if he continues to improve upon that changeup, he could be a dominant starter one day.
Yeah, I agree with you there. With the changeup, last year one of his biggest problems is that he didn't have that third pitch to go to. And now that he does, he's keeping hitters off balance, he's keeping them guessing. And I think that's obviously when you throw a fastball as hard as he does, that's a really lethal weapon to have. And another thing about Severino, his fastball, he doesn't ever lose velocity. Kind of like Verlander a couple of years ago, where like he'll be in the 6th, 7th inning, he's still throwing 98 miles an hour.
Right, yeah.
So I think he'll be able to use that to his advantage, and I think he's all right too. I think he's gonna have a big year.
All right, the one guy who's been cold this year, Greg Bird. Is his slow start all hype, or is he all right?
I'm gonna say all right. I don't think he's gonna have as huge a season as we thought he was back in spring training when he was just lighting people up. But I do think Bird potentially could hit about 20 home runs, 70, 80 RBIs. We'll see about the batting average, but I do think he'll be okay. I think he'll figure it out. I was thinking for a little while there that he needed to be sent down to AAA to figure things out, and then he had that big game Sunday night against the Cardinals with the 3 hits and the home run. I think mostly for him, it's a confidence sort of thing, and now that he has it, hopefully has it back, we'll see where it goes.
I think he'll be all right, but not the type of all right we thought coming into the year. I thought we expected Bird to be one of our franchise cornerstones, maybe 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. He was batting, I think, third to lead off the season. We expected big things from Greg Bird, maybe over 300 average. But now I think we're realistically thinking, 250, 20 home runs, kind of like what Corey just said. And also get used to the fact that we're not going to get the same defense from first base as we used to get with Teixeira.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
Good
that's
drop
something.
off.
Yeah, so you need to be ready to, don't be surprised when, that first base is not quite as rock solid as it used to be.
All right, and to wrap it up, the 2017 New York Yankees. All hype or all right?
I think they're all right. I really do. I think they have a solid chance of making the playoffs. I do think, stick with me here, this is an idea that I haven't really thrown out there, but I think trade for Quintana could be in the works if we're still in the playoff hunt come, July and August. Especially, I believe, me personally, instead of maybe packaging someone like Torres, who's one of our best prospects in minor leagues right now, and Frazier, maybe packaging someone like Frazier, especially since we have 4 outfielders right now who are playing really well. Package someone like Frazier and maybe Betances to try and get someone like Quintana, especially since we have Chapman for the next 4 years. And you can just push Ty Clippard, who has 4 pitches, good 4 pitches to the 8th inning, and maybe add more in your 7th inning guy. Bring in another starting pitcher, that could be an extra piece that's going to be really needed for Yankees. And Quintana's still very young and very good, so I think that's a great idea. That's just me personally, though.
It's actually not a bad idea. I mean, I don't know if I want to let go of Betances, but I can see where Quintana could definitely help us. But for the Yankees this year, before the season I was saying that I think they would hover around the wild card spot, probably have no shot at the division this year. I'm going to continue saying that. I think they will probably just barely miss the playoffs, but they'll stay in contention for the whole season. But I think for the Yankees too, it's also a big development year, which they haven't had in I don't even know in a long time. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest thing they want to focus on. So we'll see where that goes.
Also, quick side note, just to throw it back to what I said. Betances, pretty sure he's a free agent at the end of the year, so we'd have to sign him anyway. So just kind of throwing that out there.
All right, well, the 2017 Yankees, you heard it here first from Corey Satino, Samuel Garcia, and Matthew Rumack. This was Back of the Bullpen. Have a good night.